I want to know more about you and where you grew up and what you wanted to be while growing up.
I grew up in Brawley, California,
Hmm.
which is on the border of Mexico and pretty much on the border of Arizona, like 50 miles to the west of Arizona. It's like that southernmost east part of California. There's nothing there. It's the Imperial Valley. You have small towns made up of Brawley, El Centro, Calexico, a lot of fields, agricultural. And then there's two prisons there, Calipatria State Prison and Centinela State Prison. My father was a correctional officer. So, what did I want to be when I grew up? Honestly, like one of those architects. Nobody's ever asked me this question. Like one of those people that like freaking go for the fossils of the dinosaurs. That's initially what I
Oh,
was
like
like.
an archaeologist?
See, I messed that up. I said an architect. I wanted to be an archaeologist.
That
Clearly, why I'm not one.
that's very different from correctional officer. Like, what made you want to be a correctional officer? Like, you're like, you know
I,
what,
re-
I'm gonna.
I really feel like an idiot saying architect. But yeah, archaeologist.
How? I mean, you could be an architect too. I mean, it's.
No, and I can't draw worth. I can't even draw a stick figure. But what the difference was, I guess, realism, reality setting in. You know, I'm getting older. I don't have much skill set or knowledge or education other than the K through 12 education. I wouldn't say taking the easy way out, but it just seemed like the path.
Mhm. So, you had some military background,
Yes.
and you went into infantry.
Yes.
And were you about 18 at the time?
17.
17. Okay. And then this was, what year was this?
2001 when the
2001.
towers went down.
Oh wow. So you went into like full-fledged war. I mean, just
Absolutely. That was a
okay.
plan.
What made you want to go into the military? Like, did you?
Okay, so the way it happened was I didn't know what I was gonna do up
Mhm.
until junior year of high school,
Mhm.
11th grade. It was career day. It was like a business economic class. The Marine Corps recruiter came in wearing his dressy uniform, looked sharp, was talking about college, was talking about traveling, and the education, and the light bulb went off. I got to join the Marines. I'm going to have to join the military. It was initially the Marine Corps, and that didn't work out. And soon followed by I need to become a correctional officer. So it wasn't until junior year of high school where that goal came in.
Okay. So you realized like the military is a way to get into being a
I
CEO.
realized military was a way to get out of my hometown
Mhm.
because if you don't get out, you're stuck there. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because my parents are still living there. And so is my sister. But for me and my personality,
Mhm.
I'm adventurous. I had to see the world.
Okay. And then what year did you get out of the military?
2005.
2005. And then after that, you decided to be a CO, right?
There was a 1 year break in period because there was a 2 year hiring freeze for CDCR at the
Mhm.
time. From time to time, CDCR will like freeze the hiring process,
Mhm.
and there was a hiring problem or a hiring freeze. The problem is that when I came back from Iraq, I got out of the army. My contract was up, and I was suffering from untreated, undiagnosed post-traumatic stress disorder, and I was self-medicating.
Mhm.
So I partied hard that whole entire year, and I got in trouble with the law. So it wasn't like a smooth transition at all.
I mean, if you go into the military when you go through war, obviously, it's a lot. It's a lot for a person to handle. So it's, reasonable to take a break and, you know, take some time off. But when you became a CO, did you work? Where did you decide to work? Where were you?
But that was the cool part about it. I think I got lucky. Well, I did get lucky because once I passed all the exams that you have to do,
Mhm.
I got a phone call one morning, and I was living at my parents' house in El Centro, and they said, "Hi, it was a female. Hi, this is such and such, California Department of Corrections. You got accepted to the academy. What prison do you want to work at?"
Mhm.
I said, Centinela State Prison. They're like, "All right, you got it." So like that's kind of rare to be able to for them to ask you what prison you want to work at and for them to give it to you. That's kind of rare. Usually they'll put you in Pelican Bay or High Desert where it's far.
Oh, okay. So, wait, where's Centinela? Is that
Centinela is located in Imperial, California, which is in the Imperial Valley by El Centro.
El Centro? Where's? I'm sorry. Where's that? I don't.
It's it's about 30 miles from the Mexico border. I'm trying
Oh,
to
so
think
more south, right?
right
Like.
where I'm from. I'm trying to think of
Oh,
like
okay.
what's there to like draw your attention to there. I don't know. Have you ever heard of Glamis, the sand dunes, where people
Mm.
ride their quads and their trucks? Really, honestly, there's nothing there. And I'm not shitting on the people from there, because I'm from there.
I mean, it's just the only thing I know is obviously Sa-
It's a small town.
San Diego, and you use San Diego as a reference.
Okay, you're in San Diego, right? You get in your car, you get on the 8 freeway, and I want you to drive on the 8 east 100 miles, and you're going to be in the middle of the desert.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. I've driven through the border of California and Arizona, so maybe I kind of
In there.
yeah. And or did you work in the men's?
Yeah,
or
only
women's?
men's.
Just
I
only
could never
men's?
work in a female prison.
Why not female?
Because females are too emotional and uncontrollable.
Okay, fair enough. When you worked in the men's department, like what was your expectation? Like what did you expect from the job?
It's funny you'd ask that. I expected to be fucking fighting Mexican mafia members. I'm being brutally honest with you.
Honestly, I don't see that as like a surprise or something to.
That was my expectation,
Yeah.
man. I'm gonna be on the yard fist fighting with Mexican mafia members, right? And it kind of sounds ridiculous me saying this. It's probably the first time I've ever said this, but it's the reality of what was in my 22-year-old brain coming back from Iraq. Now, was that the reality? Absolutely not. Those individuals, along with the other gang leaders, were housed in the security housing units, the SHU, Pelican Bay and Corcoran.
So, would you say during that time, you expected a lot of violence? Like, what was it like in your first few years? Like,
I expected a lot of violence, and I experienced a lot of violence within the prison.
Did you? So, what was your first experience where you said this is just violent? This is wild.
It wasn't wild because, like, with my experience, you got to understand one of the most craziest thing I've ever experienced in my life is responding to a car bomb in Iraq. So there was 22 people that got blown to pieces and bits and chunks of meat, and they were burned and they were charred. And it was January, so there's steam coming up from the ground. I don't believe that there's anything that can freaking happen in my life that will compare to that incident. So if I go into a prison and I see riots or stabbings or staff assaults, it's not going to compare to that. But I understand violence is violence. So I saw riots, staff assaults, stabbings. That's what I was getting introduced to in Centinela on Charlie Yard, which initially was a level 3 yard. There's 4 levels in California, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you'll notice that CDCR has a habit of flipping yards. They actually flipped it from a level 3 to a level 4, and I was there for that transition.
So, does each level correspond to like how violent they are?
Well, no, because realistically, you can have a homeless man out here that's violent, and he's not on any level. Does that make sense to you? Just because they're a level 1 does not make them any less violent of a human. I've seen level 1s drop points all the way to level 1, and I've seen level 1s go all the way up to level 4s. Okay. And I need new officers to understand that.
So, would you like why the difference? Why the label? Like, what's the difference between like level 1, level 4?
For classification purposes, for security measure purposes, for privileges purposes, that's why the designations. Level 1s, and everything now in 2025 is wild. Wild. But in the past, level 1s were your trustees that will go to the park, pick up trash. They don't have a prison fence you would think of. It's like a chain link fence, like as tall as me, that they could constantly jump over.
For level 1s.
Level 1s.
And what type of prisoners were in there?
Probably like with the ones they're about to get out within a year or 2.
So probably not as violent or dangerous as. maybe 3 or 4. Well, because you said it's not, the numbers don't correlate with violence. So like,
Correct.
okay. So do you
Maybe escape risk, right? Because there's
Yeah.
different criteria that you have to take into accountability. Like, is this person an escape risk? Like, let's say an inmate is charged with LWOP, life without parole. You would never put them on a level 1, and there's hard designations to prevent that from happening. Because, let me ask you, would an inmate with life in prison escape from a level 1 yard? Absolutely. He has a chance of freedom.
So would you say like level 3, there could be someone with a life sentence?
Yes.
And it's, cause I guess you can say each level is based on how willing they are to escape, right?
Yeah, and you can have inmates with a life sentence on a level 2. Because there's level 2s now with electrified fence. So right, when we're talking about levels, I in my head can picture the facility. When I say level 1, it's going to be a little chain link fence, like with a fence like 7 feet high, 6 feet high. When I say level 2, it's going to be a prison fence with concertina wire, razor wire, and an electric fence, and somebody driving around with a gun, and towers with a gun. Level 3, same, add more guns. Level 4, add all the guns.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
By guns, I mean the Ruger Mini 14 rifle.
Not AK-47s.
Correct. The Ruger Mini 14 rifle, chambered in .223.
So so when you worked in these prisons in your early years, would you say they were more militant back then, more strict?
Yes, 100%.
How were they more militant? How were they more strict?
Because not just, I think the angle you're asking is from like the guard point of view, the officer, but what I'm looking at is from the inmate point of view as well, because that also plays a matter. Like, let me tell you, me walking into the Centinela State Prison, 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, you can hear the inmates in ADSEG in the back in C6 yelling their military cadence for their exercise. Uno, dos, tres. Right? And that's the inmates in boxers without a shirt doing burpees in cadence. So that is militant. With that mindset, I'm coming in thinking, oh man, it's game time, right? The war is on. And, at that point in time, that's what the way it was. Blue versus green is what we called it. Because green was our color of our uniform, and blue is the uniform of the inmates.
So they didn't have orange? The classic orange?
They use the classic orange, like if you're going to transfer them out to court or a hospital, or the red.
Okay. So they were militant. The inmates were militant. So would you say they were more respectable? They were more likely to respect the guards, or no? Because
like big boy rules, right?
Okay.
More likely to respect the guards, but when it got off, when violence ensued, violence ensued. Now, that's not to say that there was not immature inmates at that time, because there were. And either we policed them, we checked them, or their own people checked them. So whoever was out of line got checked. Even if you had a correctional officer that was disrespecting inmates and or lacked communication skills, and it was obvious that he was stirring trouble, that issue would get addressed. Either by us pulling him aside and be like, dude, stop that, or they're going to assault him. The inmates are going to assault him.
So, I mean, I don't want to, I guess, jump ahead, but during this time, what about CDCR and the executives? Were they...
It was cool. You want to know why it was cool? Because it was every prison, let's just say there was 33 prisons in California. Every prison ran as its own entity, ran as its own prison. So pretty much if you were a warden of a prison, you understood what type of inmates you had, what type of officers you had, what type of programs, education, things you had, what type of violence you had, where you were able to curtail that and make it work. In 2012, just like the world, the computers came online. A system called SOM, Strategic Offender Management System, came online. So even though there was 33 prisons in the state of California, you always had your headquarters where the executives are, based out of Sacramento. So now what you had was all 33 prisons tied to this computer system, and bigwigs in Sacramento looking at the computer now dictating everything that is happening at every prison. And they messed everything up beginning in 2012 or 2012.
Okay. And I want to get into that, but I want to know, in the early years, did you still see any corruption? Like, did you still see, whether it was from the executives, your own coworkers, like?
Okay, I'm gonna keep it 100% transparent with you. Me personally, whether I'm biased or not biased, even though this is totally a biased answer, we utilize measures that were effective in preventing violence, but it also came with violence.
I will say, I mean, I'm not going to put in my own views, but.
Do it.
Okay, so when I mean corruption, so I'm talking about like CO officers helping inmates, sneaking phones, drugs.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. That's going to be from the beginning of time.
Yeah,
that's going to be from the beginning of time.
What do you think makes them want to do that? Like, is it because?
I don't know. I think they're rats. I had a partner one time say, "Hey, these guys are rats that infiltrated the system," because my three biggest pet peeves working in the prison were rats, officers that lied or told or made up stories on their other partners, corrupt COs that bring in contraband for the inmates, and cowards. So yeah, it's up there. What makes them want to do it? Pathetic. Honestly, like that's how I feel about it. Like, dude, you're a traitor, bro. Like, you're giving this dude drugs. You have my phone number in your cell phone because we talk. Like, I got to make something clear, though. I was never friends with cops that were caught being dirty. Maybe I felt like an inner something telling me to stay away from them.
So you worked with, like, sheriff's officers?
No. Correctional officers for the state of California.
I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know too much about who works in the state prisons, but I've seen sheriff officers work in prisons. Do they work in?
Sheriffs work in county jails.
Okay. That makes sense.
I worked for the state prisons.
Okay. That makes sense. And you saw all this, but you just kept to yourself, right? You
so here's the thing for the public to understand. My job and role as a regular correctional officer is not to capture my partner being dirty. I have no training for that. The average line CO, correct, does not have training for that. They do not have the peace officer powers to arrest their partner like that. Imagine if you try to slap handcuffs on somebody, and what if you got it all wrong? Could you imagine like
that? I mean, they'd probably fire you.
Correct. So in reality, there's an investigative services unit, the ISU, and they are the detectives within the prison. They wear the black subdued patches instead of the gold ones. They are the ones that investigate dirty cops along with the Office of Internal Affairs.
So did anyone ever get investigated, or was it just...
No, I mean, 20 people, more than 20 people in my 16-year career at 2 different prisons. I can tell you, we're bringing in dope, drugs, controlled substances. We're bringing in cell phones. One dude brought a grill. I carpooled with him for 14 years. He brought a grill into the inmate. He's serving federal time right now. Female officers having sexual relationships with inmates, that happened definitely 5 times. Definitely 5 times within my knowledge and experience. So it doesn't... I'm not saying it's plaguing the department, but it's definitely not absent.
I mean, I would expect that too. You can't expect, La La Land and corrupt-free, workplaces.
But you got to understand something. The standards are not super freaking high to become a prison guard. You just need a high school diploma or GED equivalent.
I understand that. And that's why it's like, I expect that. But okay, so what about... One of the things that I think is unexpected would be a CO getting hurt, stabbed, or potentially severely injured by an inmate, but the executives, the wardens just covered up. Was that a thing before
No,
2012?
no, absolutely not. I experienced that in 2020. So that's a long way from 2006 to 2020. And it was, changes along the way.
Wow. So
I experienced what you just said.
Which was
covering up an attempted murder on correctional officers.
That was after 2012, right?
That was August 2020. We'll get to there.
We'll get there, but you're saying that was not a thing before.
No, I mean, if something happened, they put it on the newspaper if it made it to the newspaper. But they were not actively trying to suppress bad news back in the day. I mean, prison was prison.
And it was a different time back then.
Correct.
And
people were grown-ups.
Yes, that is true. So, do you think the inmates were more... Okay, so we're going to talk about the inmates alone. Do you think they were more violent back in the day versus now because it was a different time?
When I came in 2006, if an inmate had a life sentence, I don't care if they were 18 years old, 19 or 20, 21 or 22, they had a life sentence, they were not getting out. They were not going home. They knew that. We knew that. Everybody knew that. At the time frame, 2006, 7, 8, 9, that was the law. That was society. Somewhere around 2010, 11, or 12, the laws changed. AB 109, Prop 57, I think Prop 47, there was a couple in there, where they now gave lifers a chance to go home. Prior to those laws changing, these inmates had no hope. No hope. And it was evident. It was nothing to them to get a knife and to stab anyone or anything because they had zero hope of going home. When the laws changed, I saw the hope hit them because now all of a sudden they weren't so eager to do that. Were they still doing that? You could tell that something had changed.
So I am a bit confused because you said before the laws came into effect, the laws where they had a chance to go home as a lifer. Before that, they were less likely to stab COs. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Or they were more likely?
More likely.
Okay, that makes sense.
Not just COs. I mean, killing each other. Riots.
Yeah. So after the law came into effect that, they could potentially go home, then they were less likely to stab COs, right? Because they had
Let me tell you what, I'm going to give it to you in a nutshell as we're talking about it.
Okay.
From the years of my experience, 2006 to 2010, you had torpedoes. That's a nickname for these youngsters that had life, no chance of going home. It was nothing to them to pick up a knife, stab, and kill somebody. Those inmates were disciplined. Those inmates were mature for the most part. In comparison to what I'm about to tell you right now, they were mature, they had discipline, they had structure. 2010 to 2015, those individuals started to clean up their act. I mean, they didn't become angels, obviously, but they started to clean up their act. And then the system started to get flooded with what I call turds. Turds. Inmates that don't listen. I mean, millennials. You're probably a millennial, so don't take this the wrong way.
Gen Z.
Gen Z. People that do not know how to listen. People that do not know how to talk. People that do not know how to communicate. People that are disrespectful. So while these guys were going home, these other turds, and I will actively refer to them as turds, were coming in. So that violence left, but this violence came in. This was more crazier violence.
The newer generation.
Yeah, 100%. It's impulsive. There's no reason. There's no method behind the madness. You get slashed, stabbed, killed for no reason. At least in the past, there was a reason.
Do you think it's also, do you think it might be potentially from drugs?
No, drugs have been since the beginning of time.
But the newer drugs, because,
no,
fentanyl and meth being laced with a bunch of...
No, this is what I will say. I have fought inmates on spice and bath salts. Those two drugs are horrible. Inmates that are on that are like psychotic zombies. with Superman strength. It sucks. It sucks. So, no. To answer your question, no. Because I didn't tell, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the whole system is plagued with bath salts and I'm not saying that those inmates' behaviors are as a result of that. Some of them, yeah, you can tell.
So yeah, it's like you're saying you've dealt with people on drugs, and you can see the difference from the old generation and the new generation.
I fought one inmate, and I'm not here to tell war stories, but I mean, I'm keeping it real with you. One inmate was high on methamphetamines for 5 days. He didn't sleep for 5 days. And that inmate tied a knife to his hand and stabbed one of my officers. And that was when I barely promoted to sergeant. So, yeah, meth was involved in that one. But drugs are always going to be a part of prison, unfortunately, sadly.
Yeah. And so now let's get to 2012, when things start to change, when technology comes in, headquarters wants to dictate the way everything is run.
Excellent.
Do you feel like the general politics at that time dictated them?
In the world, 100%.
Okay. And what do you think their agenda was? What do you think headquarters wanted to do? Why dictate so many branches when they don't have hands-on direct experience? Why do they want to have a say?
Narcissism, egotistical maniacs, lack of self-conscious, lack of self-esteem. Working for the California Department of Corrections, I've seen what happens when you put the nerds in charge. They walk around with something to prove.
And so did you ever see, before 2012, did you know who was at headquarters? And then during 2012, did you see the shift? Was there a shift in?
There was a shift because as a officer, I had no idea who my lieutenant was. Because the lieutenant was gone drinking coffee as he should, which is one of the motivating factors that I wanted to promote to lieutenant, because I want to be that person. I want to be gone drinking coffee, minding my own business. The sergeant, when I was an officer, you did not call the sergeant. It was frowned upon. If you were an officer in the building, you have inmates around, and you say, "Hey, sergeant, I have a problem with this inmate." The sergeant's going to click the freaking phone on you.
That was before, right?
Before. But then things changed when those nerds got put in headquarters. Excuse my verbiage, but this is very black and white for me.
I mean, just be you. Be you.
And the policies changed, and then the expectation began to be, you will call your sergeant. That is now the expectation. And as a sergeant, you will go over there. So at one point in time, the officers had total ability to dictate what went on, as they rightfully should, because they were a sworn peace officer in California. The micromanaging began 2012. The sergeants, then the lieutenants started stepping in, then the captains started stepping in, then the AWs. So officers were no longer making choices, but getting affected by every horrible wrong choice being made at the top.
So what do you mean by that? Like what mistakes were?
Like if I'm working a housing unit, and I as a correctional officer, and I have an inmate that is refusing to lock it up in his cell. Previously, you would tell the inmate, "Hey, inmate, take it to your cell." A verbal order. No. Okay. Now check this out, inmate. I am going to grab you by your arm, and I am going to escort you to your cell. Totally within the rules, totally within policy, totally within the law. And sometimes you would grab the inmate by the arm, take him to his cell, shut the cell door, and no harm, no foul. It wasn't even an incident because that was just a simple escort. Something weird happened. Something totally weird happened where they said, you guys can no longer. So the example I just gave you right now was not use of force. So use of force is using like pepper spray, physical force, baton, or 40 millimeter, or a Mini 14. That's just an escort. Somehow, some way, they warped into saying that that is force. That's not force. No matter what anybody says, per the definition, per the law, that is not force. So then they started to say, if an inmate is refusing to go to his cell, you have to call the sergeant. So now the sergeant has to come out of his office and try to talk to him or do whatever. Then it got even worse, where if you tell the inmate, put your hands behind your back, I'm going to place you in handcuffs. And as you go to put him in handcuffs and he'll start fighting you, because that's what they do. They change the rules verbally. You guys can't do that anymore. Excuse me. You can't do that no more. So they stripped. That's like they stripped officers of their power. That's like being a dog catcher and being told, don't use your stick with a little noose. Don't look at the dog. Don't touch the dog. And it's like,
what are you supposed to do?
Correct. Is that a good analogy?
Yeah, that was a perfect analogy. And I don't understand why they decided to be that progressive with inmates and criminals.
I can
It's like you understand doing that in a school system or maybe in a completely different setting, but prisons, why? What?
If I wanted to be fair, I would say some of it had to do with litigation. Inmates continuously suing, excessive use of force. I don't know why I just laughed, but using force on disabled inmates. I laughed because Richard J. Donovan was the first prison in the history of California to get body-worn cameras as a result of a federal court order alleging that we were beating up inmates with disabilities. For the record, those inmates were attacking staff, and we were responding, quell that violence. Yeah. For the record.
And wait, so was Richard Donovan? He was a CO, I think, or a cop. I'm not sure.
Like the guy Donovan?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know his picture is up in the classroom, and that dude committed suicide, and it's creepy. It's like an old black and white photograph. I think that whole place is haunted. It's definitely cursed.
Oh, they put his photo up in the prison.
Donovan.
Who's Donovan?
Well, the prison is called Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility, RJD, the prison I worked in San Diego. Okay. But there was a man named Donovan who they named the prison after. They got his big, giant photograph up in that building, and it just always creeped me out.
But the guy who had the body cam footage, he was forced by the federal government to have a body camera. That guy.
So prior to this,
yes,
no officers in the state of California had to wear body-worn cameras like the police. It wasn't a thing. A federal judge implemented that all of us, well, not me because I was a lieutenant, sergeants and officers, they all had to wear cameras. So they all wear them, all the COs, not just one person.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes. So even today, they still wear them. Like everyone wears them.
They're probably like at 5 or 6 prisons now. Like Salinas Valley State Prison. I'm probably Corcoran.
So even with that body cam footage, the COs that sneak in contraband or phones, they just turn it off, right?
You can't turn it off because it's a fireable offense. They were not playing around with old body-worn cameras. The policy, the administrators, they were not playing. And it's a fireable offense to turn it off. They have to remain on 24/7, 365.
So how do some of the COs get around that when they want to like sneak in contraband or phones for the inmates or just...
Because it's easy. I mean, I don't know how to do it, but I can imagine probably when you're walking from the parking lot to your job site, you're not going to be wearing a camera. Maybe that transaction happens there. Maybe being sneaky, throwing it in the trash can. Like making it look like trash, throwing it in the trash can, all it looks is like the officer threw trash in the trash can. The inmate goes and gets a trash can and gets a contraband.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty sneaky. I mean, so we talked about before 2012 and then after. So you had said that inmates were definitely more respectful.
Structured, yes.
And they had more structure, even though they were violent. And then during 2012, that shift where there was new leaders, new executives, new policies. Did you when did you start seeing it cause more chaos and problems? Like you were like, this is going to end up in chaos.
During this process, as we're talking about, another weird phenomenon started to happen. From the rank of associate warden at the prison to chief deputy warden to warden and above, you never had to have been a correctional officer to become an associate warden. Meaning, I could have been the best teacher in the prison.
Yeah.
Then I became a supervisor of teachers in the prison. Guess what? I meet the criteria to take a test for associate warden. So these buffoons would take a AW test, go to a freaking academy in Sacramento, a post academy, which was like 2 weeks. I don't know. And they get a badge. What do you think happens to idiots that you give a badge to and give them that much power and authority? What do you think happens? They fucking go nuts. And then they hold this resentment that, oh, these officers never respected me as a teacher. I'll show them I'm their boss now. Mm-hmm. So you have that plaguing the department right now. You have a lot of executives that were never correctional officers, sergeants, lieutenants, or captains.
Was this a thing before?
No, I didn't see. Nobody saw it like that before. Not like that before.
So wardens before were
did their
experienced.
Time. Absolutely, 100%.
So why? So why change? Why did they decide to change the requirements? Do you have any?
There's a reason why I'm sitting here today and you're sitting there, and I don't work there anymore. I couldn't stomach it. You can see how disgusting this all is. To me, it's disgusting.
Do you think that they did this because they didn't have enough people applying?
No, I think they did it because the wardens with the testes and the backbone and the spine and the courage and the experience were standing up against the illegal orders coming from the top.
Oh, okay.
So, hey, get rid of them. Hire in some yes men, some yes women, puppets.
So these were the new requirements. Just said, hey, you can take a test and then just be a warden. Get your education, some education, and be a warden.
Yep.
And
so if I'm a crooked politician and I tell you to do this, if you were a teacher and you didn't know no better, you're gonna do it. The problem came in is when solid people and experienced people like myself and others would tell them, hey, don't do that. That's wrong. And you know what they would do to us? Punish us. Because they would take it personal. Who are you to tell me what to do?
Was this like this before? Were you able to?
This happened. Well, you got to understand. So I was a correctional officer for 8 years. As a CO, I wasn't really dealing with that trash up top. As a CO, I was kicking it with the inmates and with my partners, like at this level. The trench level is what I call it. My personality and my style, I belong in the trenches. I love the trenches because it's normal there. Once you start going up the chain of command, it's freaking disgusting. Have you ever seen Game of Thrones?
I think I've heard of it, but
it's exactly like Game of Thrones. It's cutthroat, it's ruthless, it's political, it's backstabbing, lies, propaganda, filth. I don't operate in that.
Yeah. And, as, time progressed after 2012, it just got more progressive and more progressive.
Transgender training. So much, whatever was happening in the streets was getting pushed into the prison. It was just what took a back seat was safety and security, something we always referred to as safety and security. That was our bread and butter. Prison guards are supposed to be prison guards. Correctional officers are supposed to ensure the safety and security. Basically, what it turned it into was like, there was even references that some managers made, like, hey, we are like Disneyland. Be more like Disneyland. You need to give them the best customer service. And this is all of us losing our minds. Losing our minds.
Disneyland.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not a liar.
I'm not saying you're a liar. I'm not saying that. To me that's shocking. Someone head saying this is Disneyland.
That Disneyland comment was made around 2015. So I want you to see the years. Just to me, it's only gotten worse. I'm not here to tell you that things have gotten better. Things have only gotten drastically worse since 2012-ish.
So after 2012, yes, it started to get more progressive, and there were laws that gave inmates more hope.
Now the laws are the laws. I totally agree with the law changes. Now in hindsight, looking back, because I've seen a lot of successful men serve their time as men, get out and become successful. I have seen that, 100%. I got to give them credit where credit is due.
And so we're gonna get into the California prison model, but that wasn't introduced until like 2022 or 2020, right? I think it was
2021. 2022. No, 2022. Because I resigned in 2022, and then it hit, which I knew it was gonna hit.
And so you didn't really fully experience it, but
I was a lieutenant at Donovan.
Okay.
And I was hearing the officers tell me, hey, LT, Connie Gibson, the director at the time, she was a black lady, and it's kind of important that I put that out there because she ruined the department, not because she's black, but because they refused to move her from her position, and I believe it's because of political optics. Oh, you removed the black lady, female. That's going to look so bad for the department. So instead of doing the right thing, they let her destroy the department along with other people. They went to Norway, the country, to go learn their correctional system. They were going to come back and implement everything that was happening in Norway in our California system. So the officers were telling me, hey, LT, this is what I'm hearing. I'm like, what? Connie Gibson went to Norway with a bunch of staff, and they're going to come over here and they're going to make the prisons like Norway. I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, it's going to be it's going to be like the inmates are going to have fun. They're going to have like college dorm rooms. We're going to treat them nice like they're our friends. We're going to shake their hands, hug them, play sports. And I said, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And then when I started to come, oh man, this is going to be a thing, I quit.
And this was 2022.
Well,
Around 2022.
I quit in December 1st, 2022 with my letter of resignation. They must have implemented the California model early 2023. Jeff McCumber, there's a video of him. He's a current secretary. He said, I'm proud to announce we are implementing the California model. We know it will not come without hiccups. You know what the hiccups were? 90 murders, homicides. One of a Mexican police official, Abigail Reyes, after the escape of level 4 lifer Cesar Hernandez, 2 little old ladies in Mule Creek State Prison that went to go visit their inmate. You just had an inmate that was killed in downtown Los Angeles, MacArthur Park. So you see all of these murders. And then in July of this year, CDCR made the announcement that, hey, we are going to discontinue the California model due to budget reasons, which is a lie.
I want to go back to the story of visitors getting killed. How is that even possible?
I don't know. That was Mule Creek. So that happened like a year ago, 2 years ago, a year ago. So there's a thing called conjugal visits in prison. Those are overnight stays. What that looks like for the average civilian to understand is like, imagine a studio apartment that's surrounded by a fence. A visitor can come on a Friday, bring groceries, or we'll provide the groceries for them. They got to order it from the kitchen. And they get to live there for Friday, Saturday, Sunday with the inmate. And they sleep there. They watch television. They cook. They hang out. We count them. During the institutional counts, we make the inmates stand outside, wave to us. We can see them, count them. If an inmate takes medication or their visitor takes medication, we deliver it to them in a golf cart. So there's measures in place like that. but there's really no way of preventing somebody from killing somebody inside. The only thing that would have done prevented that possibly is maybe doing better criteria checks for who gets allowed to visit. Because I believe that suspect, Brinson, I believe he has previous convictions of murdering women, which is horrible.
So
Which is horrible.
He murdered the woman
Strangled
who
her.
was visiting him, right?
Yeah, yes. And CDCR tried to cover that up. Not a peep from CDCR until people caught wind of it and started pushing it out to the press. Then they were obligated to speak on it. You need to understand the importance of propaganda and the lack of information that CDCR purposely puts out.
Yeah, I mean, hiding something like that, not addressing it to the public or even dealing with the family is pure corruption.
CDCR in their integrity is so bad. It's like a little kid gets caught with his hand in the cookie jar and he's looking you dead in the eye and saying, "That's not my hand in the cookie jar. That's not my hand. I'm not doing that." But they're caught red-handed. And they continue. They're supposed to be a professional agency.
And this was, what year was this? This was 2 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm. So 2023-ish.
And
not one, but two murders in family visiting. Not one, but two.
And that's just outside. But if you go, working inside the facility,
80 plus.
I mean, you've talked about seeing one of your officers get stabbed in the neck. And I think you had said that was your last straw. That was like your tipping point.
There was in August of 2020, there was an attempted murder on correctional officers at Donovan Prison on Facility B, Bravo Yard. The participants was Mexican mafia member at the time, inmate Joe Mendez, a.k.a. Yoda from Westminster, and his entourage, his bodyguards, the Sureños, the associates. In front of Building 8, but it's important to note that the incompetent captain of that facility pretty much caused this. He gave inmate Mendez, all the power to run the yard as the inmate saw fit. So it was inevitable that something bad was going to happen. We all knew it. It was just a matter of time.
That's interesting that you said that the inmate could just run.
He ran it all.
So what were some of the biggest things that changed after, your early years that caused the most chaos? Like what were the policies?
So if I was a captain back in the day and an inmate came and tried to talk to me, I would look at the inmate and say, "Hey, go talk to your officer," right? I'm a captain. What are you doing talking to me? There's a thing called chain of command. Just like in the military, I, as a private, cannot walk up to a general and go start chatting it up with him. There's a whole process. Or complaining to him, right? "Hey, general, I got these issues going on." He's going to tell you, "Get out of my face." In that progression, these captains and AWs and chief deputy wardens all of a sudden just started welcoming the inmates and just allowing them to just poison their mind with whatever they wanted to tell them. They started to believe. Let me rewind real quick. In the past, the officer's word was good. Whatever an inmate said was not good. Somehow that flipped. Now, if you were the officer, you were lying. If you were the inmate, you were telling the truth.
What do you mean by that? Like, when an inmate makes a complaint, they win. Is that what you're saying?
Now, oh my goodness. Even if it's not true. Do you realize how many times officers get accused of sticking their fingers in inmates' buttholes? Daily. And you know that the higher ups are like, "Oh, we gotta investigate this. We gotta ensure that in fact did not happen." Do you understand how demoralizing that is to every officer?
Yes.
It's like, really?
Yes.
Really? We're wasting resources, time. You're doubting my credibility, my integrity, my morals, my ethics, my values? Really? My finger? Why would I do that?
And they would actually investigate. They would make them go do rape kits and say,
SART, yeah, PREA, Prison Rape Elimination Act. Do the whole investigation, interview the officer, interview witnesses, practically everything except smelling the finger. Everything.
don't you guys have body cam? Don't they?
Exactly. Though they got to review the body worn camera. That's part of the investigative process. But I'm just showing you where we were and where they are at now because I quit.
So you
For the
would say
record.
the policies, as we got closer and closer to like the California model, the policy became more inmate friendly, more prison friendly, or prisoner friendly. They started to, I guess, treat them like, I don't know how to explain it. Just treat them like
Royalty,
royalty.
in a sense. I mean, they might argue, the inmates might say, nah, that's not true. They're not treating us like royalty. But in comparison to the correctional officers, they are in comparison. And one might ask, well, what is a motive for an inmate to make all these false allegations? Monetary reasons. You're going to go to court. It is a fact that CDCR will pay out and settle as opposed to fighting a drawn-out court, even if it's not true, which we've seen it continuously.
And do you think that it's kind of like most civil cases where they just want, in California, the law just makes it more friendly for the prisoner? Would you say? Would you say that?
Yeah, I think we're in a turning point though right now. Like things are changing. I could feel it and I could see it. But for that one long duration, it was a free for all. You saw it on the streets when they were doing smash and grabs and breaking and stealing stuff. You've seen it. You saw it on the streets. The chaos. It was the same thing was going on in prison. It still is.
So in the prison system, I want to know, how are the inmates, like the level, the security, how has that changed? Like, did they get more freedom?
Oh my God.
Like what?
So imagine they put it in this jar and shook everything up and spat it out on the table.
They mixed all the prisoners together. They just like scrambled them up. So a rapist can be with someone who just stole something.
Yeah.
Was that how it was before?
Not like that. Not like that.
What was like the worst mix that you saw? What combination was
the worst mix? Where a documented enemy, there's everything is like policy and procedure, right? We have a duty and obligation to protect and preserve life. The worst mix is when you have two inmates that are documented on paper as enemies, meaning we already have credible information that these two will harm and up to kill each other if they are together. The worst mix I seen was putting two inmates on the same yard, and it resulted in a murder.
And that's what the heads wanted. Is that what the heads wanted? That's what they...
Well, the heads wanted to do that, but blame it on the officers.
But why? Why do you think they wanted
Until
to do
Hector
this?
Bravo came along, quit his job, sacrificed it all, and pointed it right back at them where it began. They don't like that.
Why do you think they did? No, I mean, they're wardens, they're heads. Why they should know? That's common sense.
You're
Why
giving
would they?
them too much credit.
But why would they want to do that? What do you think?
The same warden, James Hill, that housed two enemies. I knew him when he was my sergeant. So I knew when he was my sergeant at Centinela. So I know these guys. Thus, get ready for this. I'm about to drop a bomb on you. The same warden that housed two enemies, inmate Vasquez and the other guy, forgot his last name, the victim, that resulted in a murder, is the same warden that was having correctional officers' cars towed from the parking lot because he didn't like where they were parked.
He wanted them together. Like he asked.
No, it's
for
not
them
that.
together.
It's that the warden has overall authority of the inmate's housing per the DOM, Departmental Operation Manual. So whether or not the process failed all the way, which it did clearly, nobody caught that. Somebody should have caught that. Overall, he has you don't get to be a boss and just cover your eyes and put a blindfold on and say, well, I don't know what was going on. It doesn't happen that way. You're a boss. It comes with responsibility.
So do you think so that happened because of a change he wanted. Was that?
The whole change, the California model.
Oh, okay. So like just
So if it's coming from the top,
yeah.
Jeff Montcalm, but even above him, Governor Newsom, and the creator of the California model, Bree Williams, a professor from UC San Francisco, the CEO of Amend, came from them. They needed a puppet, Jeff Montcalm. You're seeing now everything I've told you is all making sense and adding up now. You put these dummies in place that are willing to mix enemies and kill each other just to carry out the evil orders of the evildoers. But who suffers at the bottom?
The COs.
The COs and the inmates.
On the front line.
Correct.
Right? And I've heard, I mean, I believe you talked about this, but sometimes COs would also, I think it was COs, I'm not 100% sure, but correct me if I'm wrong. There's something called gladiator fights. What was that? What was that all about?
Okay, so like in the 1990s, Corcoran Shoe, the security housing unit, right? Mind you, 1990s. There's a 1990. We are now in 2025. In the 1990s, it was alleged that the officers were integrating inmates to fight and kill themselves and were placing bets on who's going to win who, right? The FBI came in, they did a giant investigation. I was in friggin' elementary school. Don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it because it's none of my business. I was not there. You know what I mean? So like, people are so hung up on like, oh my God, officers bet on inmates fight. Like, dude, that was the 1990s.
But that's not a thing anymore.
What is a thing is mixing the enemies, mixing the inmates. So if you look back in the past, why in the 1990s were those officers mixing those inmates? Why?
For entertainment. For money. To have fun? That's my guess. Because you said
they were being told by their higher-ups to mix them. That was a policy.
Oh, and they just found an opportunity.
To bet?
Yeah.
Well, it was alleged that they were betting.
Ah, okay.
Which was unsubstantiated by the FBI. I'm not siding with them. I'm just saying, after a thorough investigation, right? But back then, the directive from the higher-ups was mix the enemies. So they're going to fight. My father, who was a correctional officer, began his career in 1993. He got investigated and interviewed because he worked ADSEG at Centinela, the whole. And he told somebody else, or somebody else told him, hey, hang out if you want to see a fight right now. A psych doctor overheard that, complained to the higher-ups, and said, these officers are setting up fights. They knew there was going to be a fight in ADSEG. When they interviewed my dad was like, yeah, that's the policy. I told the guy, hang on if you want to see a fight right now. I know they're going to fight. Everybody knows they're going to fight. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So,
and of course, he was clear. That was nothing. It's nothing.
So,
mind you, the inmates had an opportunity also to like not go out to yard. But their own prison politics, they're forced to go out to yard, right? So it's just a mess of situation for everyone.
Okay. So the higher-ups that, mixed them, what do you think their goal was with this? What did they want from this?
Chaos. Manufactured chaos.
They wanted chaos.
Look at it.
And then after it happened, did they ever try to stop mixing inmates or just kept doing it?
They're still mixing inmates right now. As of freaking September 17, 2025. Kern Valley, Charter Yard, level 3, they are mixing level 3 inmates. They have now elevated from not only level 1, level 2, but now they have begun to mix level 3s, which is that much more dangerous.
Do you feel like do you think they're also doing this because there's a major disconnect from what their job is and what COs do? So they have they have no idea that these prisoners are this violent and can be this violent.
No, ignorance is bliss, but they do know. I mean, Hector Bravo has been on scene shoving it down their throat for the last 3 years. They are well. I have a murder count on my podcast. It says Jeff McCumber's murder count 90. They're well aware of what's happening.
And
They don't care.
they know what you said. They know what you said, right? They've already
They don't care.
heard about.
No, they think they're invincible. Let me tell you, nobody has passed the law. Nobody. They just haven't realized that yet.
It's that's interesting because
They think they're above the law.
the prison. Later I want to talk about. It's kind of off topic, but the sheriff's department. But in the prison system, as it got more progressive, so they started mixing inmates. I don't understand anything about the prison system inside of it. So like what were some other things that you just thought, oh, this is a mess, this is upside down?
COVID.
What happened? So do you think it got worse after COVID?
The whole COVID fiasco was an absolute disaster inside
What did
prison.
they do?
Okay, so let's say you have a yard, right? You have 5 buildings, 200 inmates per building. Let's say, and then there's 4 yards, A, B, C, and D, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. These higher-ups, booger eaters, as I like to call them, no common sense. They're like, oh my God, this inmate has COVID. Let's move him over here. Oh, this inmate has COVID. Let's move him over here. Oh, this inmate has COVID. Let's move him over here. Let's move him over here. The whole time we're like, no, stop, right? Stop. The inmates are panicking.
Yeah.
The inmates are now fighting, resisting, doing crazy shit. They're scared to half to death. We're like, stop, right?
Yeah.
They didn't care. Mix them, move them, shuffle them. And to what do you think that did? Not that I agree on COVID or disagree, but I'm just saying a simple problem would have been just to leave them in place.
Yeah.
It's not going to get much easier than just leaving them in place. They spread it around. Inmates were going to the hospital. Inmates were dying. It was just absolutely disgusting. And we were voicing our concern. The lieutenants, right? Because lieutenants are the backbone of the department. I'm not just saying that because I was a lieutenant. In reality, like the lieutenant rank is like probably the thing that holds, besides the officers that are working their freaking asses off in the building, I think the lieutenant rank, you have that ability to speak to the higher-ups. They didn't want to hear it.
So the higher-ups just
they'll retaliate against you for you trying to tell them what to do. For you trying to tell them the policy, I got put under investigation twice for insubordination. Could have been 3 times. But after an investigation, it was found only to be unprofessional, not insubordinate, because I never refused a direct order. I just told them that their idea was stupid as fuck.
And they just put you under.
They love it. They love watching officers get fired. They love exerting their power. They love taking away money from officers. Like the penalties now, I want you to imagine a penalty now, instead of getting fired, they'll take 10% of an officer's pay for 45 months.
And do you think more COs are leaving because of this?
A lot of suicides.
Suicides?
There's a lot of suicides. I don't think happy people kill themselves. Yeah, there's a lot of COs leaving too. That has never happened. You had never had COs quit before. It was too good of a job.
And I mean, I wanted to ask, like, with there, being more chaos and more violence and threats to COs, you think that also contributes to them wanting to commit suicide? And just
it's a lose situation all the way around. Then you go home and your wife's nagging at you, or you're an asshole. You don't know how to communicate your emotions. It can be all bad. Mm-hmm. I experienced that. Everything I speak of is from experience.
I mean, I can imagine, because it's like almost going to war every day, but it's worse. Because it's,
because it's 20 years, 25 years, 30, you're right.
And I can imagine if you work in that environment, you constantly have, did you constantly have that fear, like someone's going to stab you?
No, do you know what's worse than dealing with the inmates?
The heads.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to protect you.
Not only are they not going to protect you, they're going to purposely put you in harm's way and then blame you when shit goes wrong.
And you've
I can deal with inmates all day
Yeah.
long. Hey, take it to your cell. I'm not going
Mhm.
to take it to your cell. Oh, you're going to take it to your cell. That's easy. And whatever happens, happens, and I know how to articulate. Dealing with these assholes up at the top, they were going to use every dirty, shady trick book. They're going to lie. They're going to lie under oath. You know that lying, dishonesty in the prison system is a fireable offense? They lie all day long. It's disgusting. Documented lies. Lies that come out in the court of law in front of a judge, in front of attorneys. They just sweep it under the rug.
And you would say the SEALs are just guinea pigs for them. They're just a part of their...
Expendable.
Do you feel like it's an experiment? Like the government's just experimenting on their own employees, seeing whether this model works, seeing whether progressivism works.
It's just like, to me, I easily compare it to Nazi Germany. You know, if I didn't have the experience of CDCR, I would probably look at Nazi. I would still be confused of how the hell Nazi Germany happened, the Holocaust. But I clearly understand how the Holocaust happened now. Groupthink, also the herd mentality. So after all this freaking corruption that I've laid on the table in front of you, how many employees out of 30,000 do you think spoke up?
Why would they?
You're looking at them right now. 1 out of 30,000.
Only so you've been the only one that spoke up about this.
Well, now there's been like 2 or 3, but you hear my point.
It's very rare.
That was the first one.
Are you? I mean, this is the thing I want to know, because aren't you scared?
I'm not scared. I believe in God. I'm not scared. I've been hit by roadside bombs. I'm not scared. I should have died more than 10 times. I have a strong faith. My values, honor, my last name, the blood inside of me means way more to me than $1 or $157,000.
Have you ever been stalked, doxxed by them, or?
Yep, two illegal search warrants into my email account where they committed perjury and lied to Google and YouTube, saying that I was a current employee and that I was committing felonies. Both are false. And what did they do? They accessed my phone records they accessed my email account. They accessed probably my Instagram. They've accessed it all.
So they...
As a civilian, as a citizen, that's called the Fourth Amendment. The rights to search and seizure.
They basically put you under an investigation.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not an employee.
Did they take your phone and...
No, it was all electronic.
Electronic.
They accessed all my electronic data.
And did you have any idea of this?
I had an idea of 3 of the things they did, not the last one, but I did catch wind of it. And the whole reason for doing so is they are attempting to go after current employees who are communicating with me. They are alleging that I am being fed confidential information, and they are allegedly calling it a felony, which the district attorney of Monterey County and Keith County already shot those DA referrals down. They didn't pick up those charges. So clearly, they're full of BS.
I mean, that's another level of being they're like hunchmen for...
Define hunchman, because I've heard that word before, but I don't know the definition.
Just like they're soldiers, they're minions. You know what I mean?
I call them the Gestapo.
The
Gestapo.
Yeah, the Gestapo.
The German Nazi Gestapo.
Yeah,
the secret police for the German.
I know a lot
yeah,
about...
they're the Gestapo, because those are Office of Internal Affairs special agents. You know, the scary thing is they're also dual sworn as FBI agents and U.S. Marshals. So I already told you what happened when you give nerds power. Imagine giving nerds this type of power where they're able to access your privacy illegally.
So you were investigated by what organization?
Office of Internal Affairs. Believe it or not, they've already created 3 task force against me. That's a fact. CIU, Criminal Intake Unit, SCIU, I don't know what the hell that stands for, and recently the FAST team. Forensic analysts. So they're hiring more agents to try to keep up with what I'm doing. Now, for the record, they're never going to be able to stop me. It's what I've created is already taken on a life of its own. And somebody will just pick up the slack if I'm ever gone or taken out.
Would you say, are other people scared when they deal with you, like when they talk to you?
Yeah,
Do they
and that's cool. I mean, I totally understand.
Yeah.
I'm not an idiot, right? I understand, but I need you and everybody else to understand, from the bottom of my heart, their protection is and always will be my priority. Their whole confidentiality, their protection, like, dude, I will. I'm loyal. That's just putting it lightly.
I mean, you've been loyal to the organization for 16 years.
Correct.
And you've put your life at risk. You've put everything at risk coming out and speaking out about this. So, it's people are going to see that as if he was lying, then why?
Well, I'm not lying. I mean,
No, I'm saying people would say if he was lying, he wouldn't put everything at risk. So they would see you as more likely to be honest. Because
I don't look at it from that perspective because I don't know what let me tell you, like, the weird thing that has happened since I got out is just watching people say, like, I was a dirty officer, which is a lie. I was bringing in drugs to the inmates, which is a lie. I was fired, which is a lie. I was going to get fired, but then I quit before they could fire me, which is a lie. So it's just weird from my perspective to see, okay, this is how people operate. This is how people's minds work. When they can't wrap their mind around something they can't, accept, they make up a lie and hope that other people will buy into it to discredit me. It's freaking propaganda.
I mean, well, who are these people? Who are you talking about?
Trolls.
Oh,
Trolls.
That's different.
My former employer, CDCR. I did this huge interview with Vice TV, which is probably one of my bigger interviews. And I had no idea till I saw the end of the video. I had no idea. It said Vice TV contacted CDCR for a statement on Hector Bravo's, allegations. And this is what a spokesperson from CDCR said. This would hardly be the first time a disgruntled former employee speaks negatively on their fellow colleagues and department. This is nothing more mere than prison fan fiction. That was from the department a couple months ago. That was their statement.
It's worse because it's recent. It's very recent.
A couple months ago. After I've showed you 90 dead bodies. Nothing fake about that.
And I mean...
Can you fake 90 dead bodies?
No.
You faked the one last week that just happened in downtown LA? I don't care how much you try to... And it's only hurting them. It's only hurting them. The public sees the lack of transparency. Oh my God, I don't know how to tell the world. I have a 7-year-old daughter. So it's like, hey, baby, it's much easier for you to do the right thing, even if it sucks, right? Because if you continue, it's harder to lie. You're going to have to lie on top of lie on top of lie, and you got nothing coming after that. The public doesn't trust CDCR. And ultimately, that's going to hurt them. It's going to damage them as an agency, as a department.
I think, so they only deal with corrections and I think rehabilitation, right?
And parole. So you got inmates out on the streets. You got CDCR. You got DAPO, parole. It's a huge part of public safety. Like the public will suffer and has suffered as a result of negligence, gross incompetence, and mismanagement, and corruption.
It seems like, you feel like it's not going to stop anytime soon. You feel like it's just going to keep going. And
I'll be honest with you. I'm tired because I've been doing this for upcoming 3 years, and I'm exhausted because literally every single day I've showed up and have showed the world corruption, and I'm tired. So I don't know. Let me be real. Change is going to happen. I just can't tell you how soon it's going to happen. But the department is so scared. They're panicking. They've never been faced with anything like this. And not just from me, from others that have come out and have began to expose.
What's interesting is you talked about trolls.
Okay. Yeah.
So a lot of the trolls are like on social, like Instagram and whatnot. But that they don't, to me.
Let me say something real quick. I was on the phone yesterday with somebody. who used to work for the investigative unit. He said, you know what, Hector? Somebody told me that from that unit, that CDCR approved a request for these special agents to create fake burner accounts on Instagram and to attack your stuff. Yeah. So whatever you were about to say right now, I know it was along those lines. Like pretty much probably going to say it didn't matter.
I mean, that has been a thing where even like on like it's been a thing where people have talked about just fake accounts being created to create like I guess to keep you engaged. Like if you're making people angry, you're keeping their attention.
For the algorithm.
But
this is totally different.
On YouTube, it's a little different. And I watched a lot of your interviews with, like Vice and some of the podcasts. And a lot of the people in the comment section were former like COs or worked in prisons. And a lot of them said that a lot of what you're saying is very true. And
I need, for the record, everything that I'm saying is true. Now, a lot of people might not agree with it, but just because they don't agree with it because they had not experienced it yet does not mean it's not true.
And it's like it's normal for people to be skeptical and be like, well, I don't know,
right.
And obviously the CDCR is gonna try to pin you or make say that you were. Did they say you were fired or did they say
no that I was a former disgruntled employee?
So just you felt offended by them or you felt okay? So yeah, I mean. With their statement, people don't know who to trust. But I think a lot of people generally don't trust the government.
Facts.
And especially, with everything going on, I think a lot of people are just becoming even more distrusting of the government. But in the prison system, you had this mixing of prisoners. You had... cover-ups. Did you also think there was financial corruption?
Yeah,
as well?
People at the top got paid to do that.
But more of
stealing money?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, let's be realistic. They're doing it. If they're getting people killed, sure, I'm fucking not surprised that they were fucking pocketing some money here or there.
Do you think that they created this chaos to get more inmates killed so they can have more money?
And also push the effort to rehouse the current gang leaders back in security housing and isolation. They were not happy when they got released from the SHU in 2014. A federal judge released those inmates from the SHU that had spent 10, 20, 30 years in the SHU and forced them to release. I believe CDCR created chaos and is now about to put the blame on those gang leaders in order to show the courts, hey, we have to lock up these men. They're monsters. Look at all the violence that has come.
So that's confusing to me. It's like they want to lock them up and be militant, but at the same time they want to be progressive and lenient on inmates?
Nothing makes sense. They're going after the wrong people. Nothing makes sense. It's chaos. When I say it's chaos, nothing makes sense. So in prison, the inmates that are getting rewarded are the ones that are most out of control. The ones that are getting published are the ones that listen. The ones that are getting punished are the ones that listen. That's a fact.
Why do you think that is?
And they appreciate me saying that because nobody else is saying that. That's a fact.
But why do you think that is? Like they just...
I don't know. It's like they're just like you're rewarding the problem child.
You think it has to do with money and...
Everything has to do with money. Everything has to do with money.
That's a very interesting set. Like just all of that, it just makes no sense. And I mean, here's the thing. I don't think, in my opinion, and it's not gonna get. I don't think it's gonna get investigated too much down the line. And I wanted to bring up the sheriff's department. I don't know if I should be talking about this because it's also they're different than prisons. They're more militant, and that's why they're put in the hot seat. I don't know if you've heard of like the gangs.
I don't know anything about the sheriffs.
The gangs within the department.
I just heard about the allegations.
Okay.
But I don't know anything about it.
Well, do you think that the policy is also in every law enforcement group? Like that?
Absolutely. You got police chiefs throwing police officers under the bus. I mean, they murdered like a black man. they haven't even seen the video footage yet, and they're like, "Oh yeah, my cop was wrong," but they burning down the city, and then you're like, after a thorough investigation, you realize he was within policy. Too late, the damage is already done.
Yeah.
This political. I'm not saying that happens in every case. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying that are examples.
Okay.
And I'm not racist. I just gotta emphasize that because I feel like nobody has spoken on these topics or subjects.
And yeah, I mean, this was a lot, and I really, really love that you explained everything. And you went deep inside. You had a deep dive, and were very transparent about everything. And a lot of people need to see it and understand that it's not what they think it is. A lot of people don't know that this is going on.
Correct.
So,
but they need to know.
Yes, they definitely need to know. But yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
I appreciate you for having me and also setting this up. It means a lot.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks for hearing me out.
Definitely. This is a pretty one of my biggest stories. So
you have no idea. Just wait till the backlash you're gonna get.
On the record, I am just a journalist.
Me too. Me too.
I'm just here to interview.
Cool.
And get your side of the story.
Cool. Yeah. No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.